About it, it's your boy MC Recovery and Relapse. So hit that like button over there. Cash app if you want. Let's let this channel grow. I got my security shirt on. I went live earlier yesterday with the pop locking thing. But I've been out of commission when it comes to this Charlie Kirk and what's happening in Chicago and all of this stuff. I mean, the streets been on fire in the YouTube space. So let's get this show really cracking. So I'm just saying, start lifting the veil. Lifting the veil is a part of recovery, returning to a former state of mind and conditioning. So man, woo! So let's get this thing cracking. Just to give it a little summary of what's going on in the world. And I'm gonna start with this one right here because this one I seen it on another channel, but we're gonna go over here. Fair use. This is Amar Odom, and let's check it out.
Not the only black person who exists out there. There's so many people who this culture is affecting to this day.
Do you know black Americans are the richest black people on earth?
What statistic
Africa.
is that? Okay, I need you to pull that up like right
Fine,
now.
you can. Black Americans per capita on average.
Can you pull that up?
I'm hosting an event right now. I don't know what to tell you, but
Well, I'm participating.
anyone can fact check me on this. So you cannot find a black majority country or any country where black people have significant representation where they are as wealthy, because even the poorest people in America are in the top 5%, the top 2% of wealth around the world. And so my whole belief is stop acting like you're a victim and start making better choices.
That's not racism. I am my ancestors' dream. I'm in the deep South, Tennessee, I don't know, 40, 60 feet, probably above tons of my ancestors that were slaves hundreds of years ago.
Wow. So let's look at. So I'm gonna speed it up every now and then also. So this is a Odom dude, him and a lot of his subscribers that's up under his channel. They are against a lot of some of this woke ideology that goes around seeping through America. So let's get back to the show, and I want y'all to listen to some more of this debunking because the title. Oh, the title of his stream is. Let me see if I can blink it. Yeah.
Than every other generation of black.
Debunking the biggest lies told about Charlie Kirk. So let's get back to the rest of the show.
People that have come before me in this nation. I have it better. We all have it better. We genuinely do. I don't understand how people can sit here and call Charlie Kirk a racist when even back in 2018, 1920, hosted events like the Young Black Leadership Summit, where he would take 200 to 300 young black people all across the United States, invite them to DC, invite them to meet the president, invite them to the White House, invite them on this journey and this conference to learn more about the black history in this nation from other black people, to hear about stories that aren't taught in schools, to see a different side of our past as victors and not victims. Being a part of founding organizations like Blexit, where they are active in a ton of different states, in a ton of low-income black neighborhoods, giving young black kids mentors, school supplies, rides, field trips, events, block parties, that man. But people just want to say, oh, he was racist because he said this one thing. That's not how this works. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say things. And also, you as a person watching this video, you're allowed to fact check everything for yourself. You're allowed to think deeper and think critical about.
But the thing of it, some of us is going to keep what we heard, found, lock it, and store it. We don't, individuals do not want to unveil anything. even though it's just a click away. See, but I know some people they be clicking. People be clicking when I say something right at work. They be picking up their phone and say, "Whoa, okay now." Uh, so because so let's check out that.
The things that are being said. That's okay. Meet the president, invite them to the White House, invite them on this journey in this conference to learn more about the black history in this nation from other black people, to hear about stories that aren't taught in schools, to see a different side of our past as victors and not victims. Being a part of founding organizations like Blexit, where they are active in a ton of different states, in a ton of low-income black neighborhoods, giving young black kids mentors, school supplies, rides, field trips, events, block parties, that man. But people just want to say, oh, he was racist because he said this one thing. That's not how this works. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to say things. And also, you as a person watching this video, you're allowed to fact check everything for yourself. You're allowed to think deeper and think critical about the things that are being said. That's okay for you to do. And the things Charlie Kirk often talked about blew my mind, especially on the topic of race. Because as someone, again, who was in the streets marching with BLM, crying my eyes out because of the pain that I felt being a black man in America and a gay man, double marginalized, double victimized, and going to these events and meeting these people and talking to these people and realizing, wow, actually, I don't have it that bad. You could have told me 10,000 black people were being shot and killed by the police, unarmed. And most years, more people are being struck by lightning than black unarmed men are being shot by the cops. That man, Charlie Kirk, was not a racist man. Affirmative action.
If you see a black person in a position, or minority or whatever, the assumption is that that person is not qualified, when literally, and you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example. At Harvard, we learned because of new revealed documents that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower than their white counterparts.
Okay.
And so therefore, if you saw a black kid at Harvard, it's a fact that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterparts.
Still doesn't matter. The kid has to get through, he's got to get through the classes, do the tests, do all the research.
Well, and they actually
pass
drop
everything.
out at a greater rate too. But the point being is just the idea that they were there, number one, took a spot from an otherwise qualified individual that might be white. And they were not there on the same merits. So what we want is the same rules for everybody.
You're making the assumption that they're not qualified in order to get in. In order to even get there,
It's not
be
the
considered.
assumption, it's the data. So for example, it's literally at Harvard, you had kids with perfect SAT scores, perfect ACT scores that were white.
So that makes a degree from Harvard worthless then.
Well, like, you're exactly right. Yeah, actually, Harvard's degree is becoming more worthless because it's more race-based than merit-based. You're exactly right.
Affirmative.
Now, I'm gonna stop it right there. You know why I showed that part? Because like Trump did some cutbacks, and Harvard was one of the schools. So things are about to be changed and really rocky now. So a lot of people don't want to talk about that. They want to say, "Oh, he didn't help out no HB." Well, y'all know what I'm talking about. But in another them I did, he just allowed that to be ongoing funding. And I remember last year at the KGLH or at one of these functions, if it wasn't that function of KGLH, it was another function where, man, one of them fraternity guys, and they all try to charge me. No, we had to have this woman get over there and make sure he give us some money. But the part that I tripped off of, but that he let the door stay open so they can stop coming back and forth, year after year, presidency after presidency, to make sure they be funded. So that leaves the power in the black colleges to be responsible now with whatever that fair amount of funding or money is to be. Yeah. And I may get a little snob, and you got to ask Deion Sanders. He's seen something crazy over there too, and a lot of us have through just his experience. So let's get on to the next part of the show, and I'm gonna let this be short because I didn't have a lot of notes at this moment because this screen right here, uh, Fair use to Amir Odom, debunking the biggest lies told about Charlie Kirk. Go over there and check out that video. But now we finna get over here with my brother straight out of South Central. He was letting people have it.
Actually be empathetic to.
So let's check out this. First, let's check out this. Let's see. Let's get ready for a history lesson. History lesson right now. Okay? A history lesson because, they're trying to turn this on like we had something. I'm starting to see. They're trying to make it look like we have something to do with this. I'm starting to see that, they want to start like, twist it around as if us black folks had a hand in this situation. But we didn't. So we're going to get back to the history lesson. But first, we're going to look at this video here. This sister is going to explain it on her radio show and going to try to twist the sister that I said something about.
You have Michelle Obama.
Ain't nobody got time for that shit. Don't.
Attack will happen today. Attached to that email was a 4-page manifesto.
Get ready. Right here. This is the
You have
one.
Maxine Waters. You have Michelle Obama.
Ain't nobody got time for that shit. Don't come up on here trying to put black people.
Listen.
You have Maxine Waters. You have Michelle Obama.
Ain't nobody got time for that shit. Don't come up on here trying to put black people in this shit. What happened to Charlie happened in white Utah with all white people. Why are you talking about black people?
That's true.
Don't talk about no motherfucking black woman when Charlie Kirk was gunned down in white ass Utah. Don't come up on here with that shit.
Ooh.
Don't come up on here with that shit.
Ooh.
Talk about a white person. Do not bring black women in this shit. Black women ain't never been nobody's motherfucking ass shooter. We ain't never had nothing to do with that shit. Don't have no motherfucking black woman's name out your mouth over no Charlie Kirk. Now what?
Go ahead.
See? So, did y'all hear that right there that came from that black woman? And then the guy that's asking this, is that the guy that's asking this? That was some shady thing to say on somebody else other radio show when the topic is not that. Read what I bet you her topic for that day wasn't that. A caller tried to blame black women in a conversation about Charlie Kirk. A caller. What caller? Was it that guy? Man, that is so sad. Man, let's listen to a little bit more of a take of that there. Wow.
Look at the brother over there. Look at him.
What the fuck does black women do? We got white ass Utah. Don't make me find out from real fucking housewives all this shit. And shit got
right. You right.
Let's be clear.
Go
Maxine
ahead.
Waters is one of the most outspoken critics of the Iraq War. to even make the comparison is just ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
don't
he
do
already
that
hung
shit.
up.
That's why I'm telling you, these motherfuckers.
I'm gonna just say this. Okay, you see how that sister stood up and she jumped right in his chest? You really don't get that with other races of women. And brothers, I know, right? I get it, right? We mad at each other right now. But the truth is we're better together and we need each other, especially in times like this. This is what our culture is built for.
Yeah, but
together we're better.
Security.
Okay. I might need to put that on the t-shirt. But anyway, I had an incident like this happen about 2 or 3 months ago. I'm in the FedEx. Little Asian dude tried to cut in front of me and the sisters wasn't having no part of it. I was there picking up, okay, point of personal preference. I was there picking up my green alligator belt,
baby,
okay, that I had just ordered. Green alligator, okay? And I'm excited to pick it up. And I'm down there because they wouldn't leave it at the front door because I wasn't here to sign for it. And so I went down to the FedEx and I'm in line waiting. I got my little ticket. The little Asian dude just jumped in front of me, and the sister's like, "Oh no, you won't." Blah blah.
That's
she
right.
let him have it, and I was like, "That's what I'm talking about." So
that's right.
Me being who I am, before I left, I gave her $100, and I gave the lady that was actually checking me out $100. And I said, y'all go ahead and keep doing what you do. I was proud of her, the way she stood up.
Amen.
So you don't get that everywhere, man. But shout out to the sister for getting in this dude's chest and shutting that down. And we need that. Okay, there's a reason Black women are strong, because they had to be. All right, that doesn't make you less of a man because you can't handle it. But hell, the white man can't handle it too, and that's why largely we've made so much progress. So, you know, either way, I'm gonna let that be what it is. But you know,
so go over there and check out the show he did tonight, man. I mean, he went 4 hours and something strong up in it to give us some education. So it's fair use. Now let's get back to this other part of the show, man. I'm telling you, boy, this, man. I'm telling you, boy. Let me bag this up some more. Let me see. Now, this is the part that got me cracking up. Now it's time for the history lesson. I'm gonna keep my word.
what you guys want, because we have to lay the foundation. And if you guys hit the number 1 button, if you can hear
and
when the videos come on,
hit my like button.
Sure that we do that, and you know, let's keep this going. Here's another one. Let's look at some more.
Or Black people won't be left to their own devices. I promise you. So weird watching Black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities. It's like,
now let's put this into context. There's a community in Missouri. They want to start these all-white enclaves, and you know, so you have a lot of Black people saying, "Really? That's what you're trying to do?" The truth is, we really don't care what you do. But this guy decides to say the following, and I appreciate the way this young white woman addresses him, because again, you can say Charlie Kirk is not a white nationalist and he's not spewing white nationalist rhetoric, but white people are saying he's spewing white nationalist rhetoric. Now, and I'm going to expose that part, okay? Now, I'm not disclaiming the things that he says that may be accurate, but we're going to talk about the dangerous white nationalist rhetoric that is anti-Black. Let's keep listening.
White people don't care if Black people want to be left to their own devices. I promise you. So weird watching Black people get mad at white people for starting functioning white communities. It's like, you know how happy we'd be to see Black people start a functioning Black community? Like, we would leave you to it. We would be, oh my goodness, good for you guys. Wow, so not
now check out what he said. We will lead you to it. Really? Check out what this female right here is finna say. Check it out. Listen. Wait. Really listen and pay attention. It will amaze you. In other words, it will amaze you. Listen.
They would leave us to it. They would leave us to it. Sir, I think you are unaware of the history of the United States. You leave no one alone, okay? But
not only are you dumb and uneducated and a bigot, you're also inefficient, because that was a lot of words to say I'm a white supremacist and I'm okay with it. Let's talk about the history of white people just accepting Black communities. 1873, Colfax, Louisiana. White mobs murdered 150 Black men who were defending a Reconstruction era form of government, and it was a coup to seize political power away from Black residents. 1898, Wilmington, North Carolina. White mobs overthrew the multiracial city government and then slaughtered dozens of Black.
She looks like she could have been waiting to say this. She couldn't wait. She's been taking that. She took that African studies class, and she couldn't wait to get this out. Go ahead, baby. Go ahead. Let them have it.
Families and burned down their businesses. 1910, Slocum, Texas. White mobs attacked a prosperous Black farming community out of racial and economic resentment, killed dozens, forced the survivors to flee, and stole their land. 1912, Forsyth County, Georgia. After a false rape allegation, white mobs terrorized and expelled all of the Black residents, forcing those survivors to flee, and then seized their land and homes and redistributed it to a white community. And then in 1919, in Elaine, Arkansas, hundreds of Black sharecroppers were murdered by white mobs and federal troops after they organized a union to demand fair wages. And in 1920, in OK, Florida, Black citizens were massacred and their town was burned to the ground after they attempted to vote in a presidential election.
That's what they did.
And then in 1921, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, one of the wealthiest Black communities that has ever existed was destroyed in a 2-day massacre where 35 blocks were destroyed and burned to the ground.
35 blocks. Shout out to.
And look, and that's all what a lot of people seem to be like knowing. But I remember like 10 years ago, because I have 26 years of recovery, or either 10 or 15 years ago, someone at a church on Figueroa brought that up, the Chicago burning and stuff, and everybody was amazed. So it's like history is always snuffed and missing, missing or misdirected from us. Just like me, I found out what by being a member of one of our employee association that they take a field trip to this county, and now on the news they talk about that county out here in Fresno, San Francisco area. It starts with Allensworth. Ain't that something? Now that would have been something real good for me to write about when I was in 8th grade history, and about because but it wasn't like our teacher even told us, and some of them was black. So let's check this part out. What our brother right here, Dennis, is finna say.
The Penny Ford, 35 blocks.
And hundreds of black residents were killed. And then in 1923 in Rosewood, Florida, a self-sufficient black town was annihilated by white mobs after a false accusation, and survivors never could return. 1943 in Detroit, Michigan, racial tension.
Now, I'm going to just say this. It's unfortunate that this young woman knows more about black history than I would say at least half of the black people
and I'm one
who are
of
going to watch this broadcast. That's very unfortunate. But you're going to learn something tonight. We're going to go into detail about as many as I could find that are relevant to this conversation. But let's keep this
over housing and jobs, does that sound familiar? Led to a deadly riot in which black neighborhoods were destroyed by law enforcement. And then in 1967, also in Detroit, Michigan, an uprising sparked by a police brutality incident was met with military force. They sicked the military on the black neighborhoods, killing 43 and accelerating the decline of black neighborhoods. And then in 1985, Philadelphia dropped a bomb on a black neighborhood because they had a black rights movement called MOVE in those houses.
Wow. And well, at that time, I think I was in my career of being premoed and sprung and alcoholic. I was probably in my yep. I was in the trenches. I was in the trenches. I was coming up on my first program or something. I think I was in my first program. Wow.
A peaceful
a bomb in 1985 was dropped, and no one's talking about that.
Liberation movement, and Philadelphia bombed it. And then you throw this little racist tidbit in there.
I would feel solidarity and pride with a 95% low crime, high productivity black city, or several in the United States.
Because the implication here is that black people shouldn't have their own neighborhoods because it'll be riddled with crime, even though that doesn't address over-policing and poverty, and there's no white neighborhood that has a 5% crime rate, even though you're trying to paint white people in this amazing good light. You're a white supremacist because the rest of us white people who are pissed about whites-only residences are the people who aren't racist pieces of shit. You can't connect the dots if you don't know where the dots fucking are. Think before you speak.
Say white people don't care if black people want to be left to
the she let them have it. And I want you guys to understand what she said. These white nationalists are really under the belief that all crime stems from black people. They literally believe that all the crime, okay, is because of black people. So, and if you don't believe me, here's another I got another one for you. Let me see if I can pull this up because I want you all to see what they think.
They brought the browns here, and this is why we're dealing with crime. They brought the blacks here. They brought the browns here, and this is why we're dealing with crime.
When they say they, I'm assuming they're talking about Jewish people because, of course, nobody else had anything to do with it. I'm just saying, okay, in her mind. And so, but the bottom line is, you heard what she said. That's why we have crime. Think about that. This is how these folks really feel. And we have been sleeping and letting all of this slide. And now it's bubbling up to the top. Now, again, I know some of you all may say, well, he's not a racist. I get it. But what I'm telling you is white people said that, Charlie Kirk is a racist. Okay.
white people. And there's some who say he's not the worst of the worst. Shout out to Toulouse.
Death of Charlie Kirk is a tragedy. It was murder, and it happened in front of his children. But Charlie Kirk was a political extremist and an agitator who profited from division, not inspiration. His ministry was a cancerous one, and it was aimed at killing the American Republic. Charlie Kirk deserved to be debated and condemned, not shot.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. He deserved to be debated, because by debating him and debunking what he had to say live, you end it. He loses all credibility. Okay. And so this is why it's important. So I really truly think that Black Americans, we lost out by not presenting with but by not taking the opportunity to confront him in public discourse and debate him. Okay. So let's keep that in mind. And that's why political assassination is never the answer. It's better to debate, open debate, and deal with it. We have enough scholars and enough knowledge about the stat, more so than they do. This is what we should have done. It needed to be debunked.
And Charlie Kirk was 31. Maybe Charlie Kirk, out of 40-year-old man, would have abandoned the dark path he was on. But the chance of that was stolen. But Charlie Kirk did not serve his country. Charlie Kirk did not serve the American flag, and it is inappropriate for it to be lowered to half-staff above the White House. Charlie Kirk served the MAGA flag.
Yeah. All right. So this is white people talking about white people and their white nationalism and their racism. Let's keep listening.
Well, that makes sense. So, like I said at the end of this title, man, this is really not our fight. See, but the way it's being played out and twisted, and what I may hear at work in the morning is that, it's not even supposed to be spoke about right in the workplace. It should be like really metal, because where I work is all races of people. And then their ideologies, you don't know where anybody from or where their head is at. But this next person is going to explain where most or some, or maybe a few, may be in this head space. Listen, this is going to be the last part.
I understand it now. I get it. Y'all can't stand the mirror that's been put in front of your face. All of the shit that y'all have been serving for the last few decades now against minority communities. Y'all can't stand having to look at it when it affects you. See, that's the thing. I finally get it. It took me a lot of time, because I'm thinking, why are people reacting so violently to this? And it reminds me of the very first event that I had when I was escaping the alt-right pipe.
I stopped it there. Why is people reacting so violently to this? People dying and getting shot at over political views and free speech. Our brother Kevin Samuels. And then we had to look at Trump and some other indicators. What about the BLM lady? Where was the cry for the BLM lady that got pulled over? And now it's looking like a conspiracy that she was probably already dead in that cell. And then we got these other things. But listen to the rest of what this guy is going to say.
Line and changing my mindset of that was that anger and violence. Because see, here's the thing. And here's the thing you really don't understand, because you refuse to put yourself in other people's shoes and actually be empathetic to other people's situations. How do y'all think the black community has felt for the last 5 years since George Floyd has died? All the memes y'all shared about that. How do you think they felt about the memes?
Oh, and I'm going to show y'all. Hey, I'm going to show y'all something on empathetic. That word always got kind of like, got me looking side-eyed. Because I noticed when you in the social construct, that's one of the main words people race to instead of sympathetic. Think about that.
It's about Breonna Taylor, you know, the woman who was gunned down in her sleep during a no-knock raid. How do you think the Latino community has felt for the last 8 months with y'all cheering Trump for his deportation efforts and buying merch for Alligator Alcatraz and egging it on that human suffering is a great thing for this country? Yeah. How do you think the gay community felt with all the jokes y'all made about the Pulse nightclub shooting a few years back in Orlando that killed 50 plus people in like a predominantly gay club? You are truly experiencing for the first time how it tastes, the hatred y'all have been spilling out of your guts for years finally comes back at you. And that's the thing you don't like. But you know what? The funny thing about all of it is, where's the black community calling for war with how you have treated them? Where's the Latino community going up in arms and calling for war? And no, fighting off ISIS.
I want you to keep in mind, this gentleman is he specifically states he's a former white nationalist when he was in that pipeline. I want you to understand that he's speaking to us as an insider. So listen to what he has to say, okay? Especially for those who say, oh, racism doesn't exist. Keep listening.
And protesting, that is not war. That is civil disobedience, and that is our First Amendment right. But calling for the bloodshed of innocent civilians because they make jokes about a dead man who spent his entire political career actively making these communities worse.
He's telling you all that these people are calling for bloodshed of black people who had nothing to do with this situation of this man getting unalive. Because of what? Because some black people, and I don't agree with it, it's classless, you know, but you do have some black people online saying horrible things about this man. I think it's distasteful and it's classless. But the bottom line is, you know, we had nothing to do with it as a group of people, and this is white on white crime. But the bottom line is they're looking for an excuse. Let's keep letting this man talk.
With his rhetoric and their situations worse? Where's their calls for war? See, you're just now kind of coming out of the illusion that your hatred and bigotry that you claim is free speech is free of consequences from the actions of what you just said. Because you only ever say it online. Because when you do say it to someone's face, you almost always outnumber them 5-1. You almost always catch people in situations where they're at a disadvantage, so when you say these things, you're protected. But now with Charlie, in his situation, you're having to come to reality for the first time of the vile and awful things that you believe in, and you don't like it. You're having to eat that. You're having to stare it in the face, and what's your first response? To be violent and angry towards innocent people. Because you scream that everyone's entitled to their opinion. You love dark humor, but the second you see people making jokes about Charlie Kirk being gone, oh, that's too far? Oh, that's too far. The Halloween costumes of George Floyd being strangled to death. Oh, let's not even glaze over the fact that I'm seeing a bunch of posts going, congratulations, George Floyd, for being 5 years sober. Because he's dead. But now you want us to care. You're now noticing just how little actual emotion, like how little actual empathy and sympathy exist amongst your own ranks. Because the funniest thing about this entire situation is the fact that it was one of your own that killed him. It was a 22-year-old white kid from Utah who came from a conservative GOP family that loved Trump. And he was a registered Republican. So if you really, really, really think you want war or bloodshed with innocent people, how about you look in a mirror? And why don't you sit there for a few days and actually digest and break down your beliefs? Because I'm sure it's screaming at you from the inside. I remember feeling that a lot whenever I was younger in the alt-right, was there's this interior voice that's screaming that the things you are saying and doing are wrong, but you don't care because it's getting you brownie points with the people around you because you've surrounded yourself with hateful people. How about you actually think for a few days on your politics and your beliefs? Because at the moment, y'all are disgusting. Y'all call us disgusting for celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. We think you're disgusting because really Charlie Kirk is no different than any child that has been shot in a school for the last fucking 2 decades. The things we have been trying to prevent, the things we've been trying to stop, the pain that these incidents cause families. Yeah, how about you think about which side you've been fighting on that for a while?
Now, I certainly appreciate the passion by which many white Americans are coming out and addressing this dangerous rhetoric and this uptick. I do not appreciate some of the pundits and the politicians who haven't, because it's, you know, we have one country to live in, and if we tear it up, nobody else wants us. But
because the way they spending it, they're waking up, like the political strategy base is, well, we still got to move on and try to take over the town and cities, and you know, allegedly have our election and our states stay blue. But things have came out. Things have came out. Too many conspiracies. Now it's getting real itchy and edgy. And hey, I think I believe I did enough. But what I tripped off of, I may get to these videos tomorrow right here. Stuff like this, what this guy showed earlier, and that was Dennis Spurley. Go over there and check out the rest of that show. He went 4 hours strong in some extra minutes. I mean, 4 hours overtime strong. But this guy right here, State of Daniel, he clocked 1,800,000 views from Democrats are terrified as millions flood London to mourn Charlie Kirk. Now, that don't seem like a lot of people was really glad or happy that he's gone. See, so I might show a little bit of this tomorrow. See?
As people around the
There
globe
you.
mourn Charlie Kirk. The latest estimate from the London police is 110,000 people. However, multiple news reports say that there are over 1 million people present, with some reports going as high as 3 million. Of course, many in the mainstream media stateside are already trying to delegitimize this rally, painting it as a far-right anti-immigration rally. But when you take a look at the footage that's coming from social media
Yeah.
or any of the people live streaming,
Charlie, 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 please.
What's going on, guys? Built this little mini gym area that show you guys what a very small footprint gym in a basement might look
check
like.
out
There
the
is
other-
expedience, which
other
basically allows
countries.
BBC News, tens of thousands join far-right rally in London where Charlie Kirk is being mourned. And then the subtext here, the Unite the Kingdom rally comes amid a surge of nationalism in the UK, the rise of a far-right party topping the polls, and the murder of American conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Now, over in India, they're also talking about this. Charlie Kirk's death sparks London's biggest far-right rally in decades. So this quite clear. When you see all of these people around the world coming out to mourn Charlie Kirk, that really tells us the impact that Charlie had wasn't just among us Americans. Of Annunciation, Catholic Church, the there are
See, so that was just to give you a little glimpse. So go over there and check out his show. And I mean, this is the things that are being played behind the veil. And I just gave us some illustrations. But the veil on our side is going to try to get out of feeling what they need to be felt. And then that, what we just watched, they're feeling that too. They're feeling that a lot of people don't have hate in their heart. They feeling people are becoming more logical thinkers. It ain't so much logical thinkers, but think about it. Go over there and listen to some of them people in them other countries and see what their take is. And remember, like I always been saying, recovery is an inside job. Hit that Cash App and that like button.